So, thank you very much for this invitation. And I'm very happy to present you some of the results, which is still a work in progress, but some of the results of the survey, but also to integrate these results in a broader perspective, and that is the perspective of several research projects which I carried out over the last 7 years about running in particular. And I think we are here also because road running has been transformed since the 1960s, 70s from a competition between a small group of elite athletes into an activity practiced by millions of people. And only a small proportion, you know that, of these people is a member of a sport club or affiliated in another way to your federation. Most of them generally run alone or in small informal groups, and millions of them increasingly take part in these brilliant mass participation events like the London Marathon or the Real Berlin Marathon, or also all these shorter runs from 10Ks to 1K and everything in between and even more than a marathon. And this brings, of course, chances and also poses challenges to the athletic federations. And in my presentation, I will elaborate on those challenges. And I will discuss first some trends that can be witnessed in road running. And second, I will give an overview of the size of today's market and about the market share of the athletic federations. And third, I will discuss the policy strategies that some of your organizations use to respond to the running trends. So before I do so, just a few words about the methodology without going into detail. You can see it here. Just what I want to say is that the survey I carried out commissioned by European Athletics earlier this year is a part of a broader research that I've done over the last years. Most of this research was commissioned by the Dutch Athletic Union. And some of this work I did in collaboration with Jeroen Scherer from the University of Leuven from Belgium. But today I will especially also focus on the survey among all the member federations of European athletics. And I would like to take this opportunity to thank you for your contribution to the survey. In total, 47 out of the 50 member federations took the time to fill in the questionnaire, so almost complete. Thank you very much for that. The presentation will be based on 45 of these questionnaires because 2 of them I got after the survey was closed. But I will still include them in my final report, which will be published in January or so and will absolutely be sent to you all by European Athletics. Just like the director of the London Marathon said in his presentation, it's not self-evident, as it seems now today, that so many runners can be seen in the streets, huffing and puffing and sweating among shopping and business people. You know that. Those who started to run in public were often laughed and jeered at in the 1960s. And that especially held true for women. It was a popular belief that running was harmful and unhealthy for women, and if women participated in marathons, they had to remain for a long time clandestine. So in 1966, Roberta Gibb hid behind a bush at the start of the Boston Marathon. You know, the oldest marathon in the world, city marathon. And she sneaked into the field, finishing as the first woman ever completing the Boston course. And a few years later, number 261, you can see her here, in the Boston Marathon, was assigned to Kay Switzer. And not until 2 miles into the race did officials realize that her real name was Catherine Switzer, and she was a woman. And they tried to remove her from the race, but her teammates prevented them to do so. And this photograph was really got famous, and also made gender inequality into a public and political issue, leading to a change of rules. And most marathons allowed women to compete in the early 1970s. But just this flashback reminds us that today's mass participation in running is a relatively recent development. And in this development, two waves can be identified, two waves of running. Let's first take a look at the Boston Marathon again. This pioneering running event remained a small local marathon until the early 70s, with only a few hundred participants. And only in 1968 the number of participants passed the 1,000 mark, to be followed by a sharp increase in the 1970s, until a peak of 8,000 was reached in 1979, and then during the 1980s this number remains relatively stable, followed by an explosion of new entrants since the late 1990s. And exactly the same curve can be witnessed for Europe. This picture gives the total number of marathon finishes as far as we know, based on a big database about running and marathons. And what you can see here again is that there are two waves of running. The first one in the early 1980s, then a stabilization in the 1990s, and again in the last 10 years a tremendous growth. And data from individual countries point to the same direction, as can be seen here with respect to Germany. Again, the same curve, growth in the 70s, stabilization afterward, and indeed a new increase in after the 1990s. The number of participants in road running events in Germany increased from about 1 million in 1998 to over 2 million, so double, in 2008. And other data sets indicate that these trends in mass participation running reflects and express also a broader trend in running. Here you can see figures from the Netherlands showing a strong rise in the percentage of the population participating in running after 2000. Really explosive. And in Belgium, in Flanders, it's all the same. In the UK, according to the Active People survey, the number of adults participating in athletics, running and jogging at least once a month increased with 460,000 over the last 3 years. And that means an increase of from 5 to 6% of the adult population. 3 years. And the mass participation events questionnaire confirms this overall picture. We post questions also about whether there is an increase of participants in your countries, and only 3 countries reported a decrease in the number of people participating in road running: Andorra, Monaco and Ukraine. And 2 countries, Gibraltar and Latvia, reported that this number has been stable, and all others, which means 90% of all member federations of European Athletic, assessed that the number of people participating in road running has increased, and according to 16 member federations, this increase has been substantial. 36% of the member federations. So a substantial growth in running is reported by most northern and also Western European countries, but also member federations in, for example, Italy, Portugal, Malta, Poland, Israel and Turkey. So it's scattered all over Europe. The number of events has also increased, albeit a bit less distinct. According to 71% of all member federations, 32 out of 45, the number of road running events has increased. In 10 countries, this increase has been substantial, like Russia, Hungary, Italy, Estonia and Ireland. And in 22 countries, the number of events increased slightly, although this could also mean an increase by 20%, as was the case in Germany. Only 1 member federation, Switzerland, reported a decrease in the number of road running events. And the first wave in the 1960s and 70s was the time when most European city marathons started. Budapest 1961, Prague 1963, Rome 65, Athens 72, Berlin 74, etc. And the oldest one is, perhaps you know that, the Košice Peace Marathon in Slovakia, which already started in 1924, but only for men, and in 1980 for women. And this first wave of running was related to the rise of what was called the managerial diseases. That means diseases resulting from increased smoking, new eating habits, and decreased physical activity. And like aerobics, running became to be seen as a means to manage your body, your health. However, for the pioneers of the first running wave, they were still highly motivated also by competition and running a high mileage. So this can be contrasted with the second running boom, which started in the late 1990s, when new and larger groups of people took up running and jogging. These people participate in running mainly because of reasons like fitness, health, weight, slimness, in combination with having fun, releasing stress, and social reasons. Their challenge is finishing and not winning, or completing instead of competing. And the majority of people do not jog or run as a member of a club, school or team. Most of them do it for their own or in small informal groups together with friends or colleagues. Increasingly, women participate in running and jogging. Data from the UK and the Netherlands show that about 40% of all runners and joggers are women, who are on average about 4 years younger than men if they run. According to research commissioned by Essex in 2008, the same holds true for most European countries. Most participants are moreover between, let's say, 30 and 55 years of age. So that means that this was true for about 60% of all runners. And these people lead a very active life. They often have children, they are employed. For them, they have a busy, active life, and flexibility is very important and one of the main advantages of running over other sports. So the second wave of running is strongly supported by a new approach. Not only by the runners, but also by the organizers. These organizations do not focus primarily on competition anymore. Instead, they intend to enable people to participate in a mass event. So they do not only organize a race, they organize a run. And as a result, new groups have started to subscribe. So this really has changed the running events in several aspects. First, these events do not only offer marathons, but also runs over shorter and other distances. Second, special runs have been invented for target group, like business runs and women runs and kids runs, etc. And thirdly, time limits have been abolished and or expanded. And based on the information I got from the member federations, the biggest running biggest running events are listed as following. But I immediately realized that this is incomplete because already during lunchtime I got information of Sweden, for example, that the Stockholm Marathon is lacking here. But this was the information I got in the questionnaire, and as it is work in progress, I really invite you to comment on this and discuss with me afterwards so that I can complete this list, because it's very interesting to know both the trends but also the where the biggest ones are and how they develop. It's interesting to know, for example, that these are not all marathon runners. These are runners also, for example, in relays of 5 kilometers with teams of 5 people. So you can't compare each event, but if it shows anything, it is that these are huge events. What you can also see is that these events are growing and growing very fast. in the Netherlands between 2000 and 2005, the 25 biggest road running events increased with 60% in participants, and in the last 3 years there was another increase by 30%. And then you also have to realize that the number of people who register or try to register is even far higher. For example, the London Marathon or the Berlin Marathon, if they would like and could have, they easily could have more than 100,000 participants at their start. I will now show the size and potential of the running markets based on only one country, the Netherlands, and then I will discuss the problem of and the point of the market share of the federations. According to our research, the running potential market in the Netherlands can be estimated at 7 million people. There are 15 million people living in the Netherlands between 6 years and older, and of these people, the potential running market is about 7 million. That means that there are many non-runners, but 3.1 million of them are interested in taking up running. At least they say so. So that is a potential market. But there are also 3.9 active runners. But these are active runners who say they have once or twice or at least once taken up running. But 1.3 million of them see running as their main sport. And another 1.3 million, or probably also partly the same people, have run and competed in a running event. And in contrast to that, the athletic clubs have about 220,000. I think today it's 130,000. These are figures from a few years ago. But what you see here is that 120,000 members, in contrast to 1.3 million people who see running as their main job, means that this market share is less than 10%. And also about 2% of the potential running market. Well, this can also be estimated for other European countries. Sweden, for example, reported in our survey that the Athletic Association has approximately 350,000 members. And in addition to that, there are 500,000 people who participate every year in competition on main roads and cross-country without being affiliated to a formal organization. And in addition to that, there are also 1 million people who participate in running without taking part in any competition. So on the basis of that, you could say that the market share is about 20%. And in the UK, 125 adults are members of a club where they participate in athletics. And there are 520,000 people who take part in organized competition, and another 2 million participate in athletics in the last 4 weeks without taking part in competition. So again, you can see that the market share of UK athletic clubs is here about between 5 and 10%, and that's really a challenge for federations. Here you can see, for example, from Flanders, what the real problem is. The red line is the number of club members of the VAL, the Flemish Athletic Federation, with respect to these trends. And the questionnaire included several questions on these topics, like whether they changed their policy, or whether they introduced new categories or types of membership, or whether they actively promote running, or whether they cooperate with partners. And on the basis of these answers, I've quantified a policy change index, which expresses the extent to which a member federation adapts to the running boom. And this index shows that the willingness to change is highest among the Northern European countries, followed by Western European countries, Eastern European countries, Western Asian European countries, and Southern European countries. And the change-mindedness of the member federations appears to be especially high in Ireland, France, Germany, the Netherlands, and also in Moldova, Estonia, Andorra, Sweden, Slovenia, and Israel. And of course, other countries as well, but these stand out. And what is interesting is that there is a significant relationship between the extent to which the running market and the running event market is growing and the willingness to change the policy strategy. That means in almost all countries in which road running and running events have increased substantially, the member federations have changed their policy more. Some of these federations have introduced new sport forms, like Nordic walking in Germany, or created new types of membership, like Fit for Life in Ireland and Dutch Runners in the Netherlands. And what is interesting is that these membership categories anticipate on the fact that most new runners are about between 30 and 55 years old, employed, married, busy life, which so ask for flexibility and light forms of social bonding. In almost all countries, the mass participation running events are organized by commercial entities, and the relationship of the member federations with these event organizers differs from country to country. And as you can see here, this relationship is better in countries with a substantial growth in road running. So in countries where running only slightly grows, is stable or even declines, the member federations more often indicate that there is no or a bad relationship, but most of them also say that they are actively striving to change this relationship. Another aspect of this attitude to change is that most countries pay attention and value data. And especially data about marketing data, which can be used in their policy. I think that almost half of the members attaches importance to getting more and better data, and these federations are also the federations that already have a lot of data and also witness a huge growth in runners. But all in all, it can be concluded that road running in general and mass participation road running events in particular are becoming more and more popular, with only a single exception. All member federations report a slight or substantial growth in road running. And at the same time, the market share of these member federations is decreasing because their membership figure do not rise correspondingly. And in response to that, many federations have changed their policy. First and foremost, federations in those countries where road running has mostly increased in popularity. The federations have introduced new categories and new types of membership who want to be flexible, for people who want to be flexible in time and are looking for lighter forms for social and institutional bonding. And these federations cooperate to a greater extent also with partners in the running market, and they also pay attention to getting more and better information. But also among the member federations that have not yet adjusted their policy strategy in all these respects, there are also quite a few who understand the urgency and also the possibility to introduce some changes. For example, in Hungary, where the federation did not deal with road running over 10 years ago, with the result that commercial entities took over this market. And now the federation is fighting to get back into the business. And also, for example, in Russia, where the federation indicates that it's not just that it is only just in the beginning of this process. Or Bosnia-Herzegovina, the federation says it's wishing and planning to improve the relationship between the federation and the organizers of road running events in the near future. So you can see all over Europe that people are thinking about it and striving to change and improve their situation. And of course, two strategies can be followed in this respect. First, to enlarge the market, which is of course also interesting from a policy point of view, and second is to increase the market share among these runners. And I do not have the time to go in detail into those two strategies, but I will do in my final report. So I would like to finish this presentation by saying that I do realize, and most federations also do realize, that profiting from the road running market is by no means an easy job. The participants in road running events are quite hard to catch. They want to be flexible. They are not eager to join an athletic club. They know that they can find a lot of information and services on the internet or offered by commercial institutions. So it's a real struggle at the moment. However, I do think that you can see already some federations who change from a reactive into a proactive strategy to just let the pie grow and profit from that growth in collaboration with other partners like governments and event organizers and the business community. And I think indeed that is the way how to do it. Thank you very much.